What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Strength Solutions Podcast. This guy put the music a little too high for y'all. We're on Apple and Spotify. You can rate and review us. Also on YouTube, you can take this moment and give us that little like button. Click. Then go down. Subscribe.
Can we start saying spank the subscribe button?
Spank the subscribe button? All right, spank that subscribe button. Then, if you're looking for a website, it's strengthsolutionspodcast.com. And on this website, you can get free blogs, free guides, and programs for a purchase. I got to check up on someone who's doing a current program.
Nice.
See how it's going. Then, email strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com. Social media, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, Strength Solutions Podcast. On Instagram, I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Dang. That was the hottest opening ever because it's like 1:30 in Texas.
God, I hate it here.
All right. So our first topic of the day is stop listening to personal trainers, doctors, anybody in your life right now. Just stop talking to them. If they talk in absolutes.
Everybody.
Just drop them. Because I'm done with this absolute shit.
You know, that's a really good piece of advice, really. Like, saying anybody in your life that speaks in absolutes, right, is really not a good thing. Today I was having a conversation with my dad, actually, and
whoa, you actually talked to your dad?
Yeah. And,
I thought he was like one of those memes that disappeared.
Yeah, it's like, I swear he exists. He just goes to a different school. You wouldn't know him. And he was like, there's 3 things that you should never argue with people about. And I was like, okay, what is it? He was like, religion, politics, and money. And I was like, yeah, because those are the things that people are usually set in, right? You're not going to change anybody's mind. Nutrition, right? Sometimes fitness, right? Things like that. And you try and sit there and give someone the advice or talk them out of whatever they're doing, or maybe just being like, hey, maybe you should try this, right? And they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. And it makes a difficult conversation to have. And so most of those things you just kind of got to swallow it and be like, they're going to do what they're going to do, and that's cool. Now, I think the problem is, especially in our space, is when you start to broadcast it to everybody and say, like, this is what you need to be doing. Especially if you say, if you're doing something else, then you're dumb. You know, you're doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, dude. I feel like as I become more experienced in the fitness space, that you're starting to see a greater amount of nuance starting to happen from the fitness influencers or followers that I'm following right now. They're just like, they've given up this concept of in absolutes and talk about it in nuance. And the hard part with social media is to be very nuanced. And they'll say something on social media, but then someone comments down below and they're like, well, it is more complex than this.
Yeah.
It just shows you can't get everything in a minute clip. You
know, it's funny. I see it a lot on, recently I've been seeing a lot of flack for Squat University. Have you noticed this at all?
No, I honestly, this stuff hasn't been popping up on mine.
Yeah, like I still see it every once in a while. I will say that the quality of his videos has, like, okay, maybe not quality, but the types of video he posts are different now. He'll do like a little, like the way you've seen him at least, right? To where now he's kind of like doing a sort of voiceover thing over like a TikTok video.
Or, oh, you mean like when they're like, oh, this person said to do this, but don't really do this.
Yeah, and then he'll go into it. He'll go into it a little bit, but I do feel like I guess it was kind of, to me, a drop in quality, because I was like, you really doing this, bro? Like, you were the guy, man. You were like the science dude who posted 6-minute videos about shit, you know? And I liked that. And maybe he gets more clicks this way or engagement or something. But I see a lot of people in the comments, I think people like me, who are like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Or like, oh, you barely glanced over this, and really it's more like this and whatever. And whoever runs that account, maybe it's him or whatever, we'll go into the comments and be like, yeah, we understand. We were just trying to talk about this and whatever. So they're at least having that conversation and not saying like, no, the video, that was it. But
how many people actually read the comments?
How many people actually read the comments? Nobody, right? I'm going to look at the little TikTok grab, watch it, hear what he has to say and go, oh, okay, well, this is the Squat University guy, so I'm just going to listen to it, you know? It's funny, I was watching another video, and someone in the comments was talking about Squat University, and they were like, it was a meme that I posted. I don't know if you saw it, where it was like your squat warm-up versus my squat warm-up.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, the top was all these mobility things.
I remember this one.
Yeah, and then my squat warm up was like the guy just like lifting an empty bar for a couple sets, Yeah. And in the comments, someone was like, "Oh, for a long time I was doing a Squat University warm up for squats, and afterwards I was just really, really tired. I felt like shit. I didn't really feel like it helped my squat. If anything, I felt like it regressed me, like blah blah, all this stuff, right?" And I think that's one of the things where we talk about the nuance. Like maybe that warm up was not for you. Maybe it was too much. Maybe you got to do that warm up as a whole nother thing on another day.
Yeah.
Not to say that it's bad or it's going to fuck your squat up or whatever. Maybe you just really need to work on your mobility and it's too much for you before you go into your squats. And so talking about it in that nuance and not just being like, that's a squat warm up you need to do. This is the one. And if it sucks, then Squat University is wrong.
Dude, it's crazy because let's talk about squat warm-ups and the difference. Like you're talking about Squat University was doing like a lot of these little moves. You've seen people spend like 30 minutes in the gym warming up, and then they finally hit the squat rack.
Right.
For particular issues and time, I would say maybe choose one or two movements if I had somebody that is most effective for you.
Yeah.
So for someone, it may be ankle exercises. For another person, maybe adductor exercises. Some person, maybe it's the 90-90, or maybe it's the thoracic spine, and that's your issue. That just shows how complex it is. And that's why we talk about things like this on podcast.
Right. Yeah. Because for me, I don't have 30 minutes to do a squat warm up.
So you just literally probably warm up with the squat bar.
I do.
Yeah. That I got.
But at least I'm doing it,
No, and that's a way to warm up too, especially if I know you personally, you've done the prerequisite mobility to get there. I think that's
a good thing to say is that like I've sort of, I don't want to say earned that right, but it's like I can just go through that.
So privileged.
Yeah.
I've earned it.
I'm just fucking entitled, bro.
Such a millennial.
Yeah. And so like I can do that, right? Move through it, get a good warm up in, lubricate the joints, things like that. And then I feel safe and comfortable going into it. If I'm a beginner squatter, then maybe that's not it. Maybe I do have to do that stuff.
Yeah. All right. Let me know about your weekend, bro, because we haven't seen each other like in a lifetime.
I feel like we're going through a stint where we're seeing each other a lot. And then now it's like kind of calmed down a little bit, which has been nice. Yeah. I'm like, it's
because I hate your face.
Yeah. I was like, you're like, come over and fuck you. So why would I do that?
Yeah. I hate this guy.
No, man. Friday again. My Fridays are weird. I feel like I can never remember shit that I do. I think it's because I get out of work so late and then I'm just like, bleh.
So let's talk about this problem about smoking weed.
What?
And your obsession with it and how it affects memory.
I'm like, well, I can't remember anything, dude.
Well, if you put that pipe down, it helps out.
And Saturday.
Whoa. Hold on. You say you can't remember anything? Didn't you talk to Vanessa about eating blueberries and shit to help you?
I feel like I've actually done really, really good at that. You know what's funny is I was having a conversation with a client about consistency, and I brought that up, and I was like, I'm trying to eat better in general, but I'm also trying to do these things like eating chia seeds, blueberries, etc., stuff like that. And I was like, even on weeks where maybe I don't do it or I only do it one time or whatever, to me, the way that I think about it is I'm like, at the end of the year, I will have consumed more chia seeds and blueberries than I did last year, right? In total, just because I'm being more consistent at trying to do it at least once a week. And so I was like, I'm giving myself some credit for this. I think I'm doing a good job. Yeah. All right. So, anyway, Friday, couldn't remember. Didn't have my blueberries that day, so fuck it. Saturday, I was at the pool all day, bro. Like all fucking day, like hours long.
Nice.
I ended up feeling really, really shitty afterwards. I think I was like, I didn't have like a sunburn, but I think that I was just outside for so long that like you get this sort of feeling of like,
you're just like drained.
Am I sick? Yeah. And you know what's funny is I found it really, really hard to regulate my temperature later on. Like on Sunday, we were kind of out a little bit, and I got home, and dude, I was I was just like, I can't fucking like stop sweating.
It's called menopause.
Yeah. I was having hot flashes. I was really angry. And it made me think. It's funny because I was like, wow, like your skin is literally like your largest organ. When you are out in the sun like that for a long time, especially like you said here in Texas, it's been fucking hot as hell, bro. Yeah. And I also don't go outside very often. I'm not gonna pretend like I do that. And so I was just like, I feel like fucked up, and it's funny how like it just affects your whole body, because it's all over you. But otherwise it was a good weekend, man. That was really honestly all I did. Just pool. It was fun. What about you?
I know Saturday we did nothing
Mm-hmm.
because the wife felt sick, nauseated, and I was kind of tired too. Like,
Yeah.
it was, I don't know, maybe I've been feeling burnt out a little bit lately. And then we had all the graduation stuff, the ceremonies for the kids. They'll all be together in school. And dude, it was like kind of like caught up to me thinking about all these things, what we've been through, where we started. Like, we were sitting in the ceremony, the music came on, and just like emotions of like, man, I can't believe like 30 in middle school, where we were, the house that we were before, you know, the whole story.
Yeah.
And now that we're here, I told you I had a record month, and it's just crazy, like over and over in my head. Like, I can't believe we made it out of what we were at.
Success, man.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Congratulations, dude.
Yeah, your mom helped.
I know. She's really helpful.
But then we went to round one, right?
The bowling place?
Bowling and arcades. Dude, they have so many claw machines. Like this.
It's straight up gambling, dude.
Dude, but no, the claw machines, you can actually win there.
No, you can't.
No, the ones there. Dude, all right, after this, I'm going to take you to the girls' room. You'll see they won like 5 stuffed animals.
God, really?
Yeah, and Christian got one.
Huh.
Dude, they're like legit. You could win those.
That's fucking
It's
cool.
like the best claw machines in San Antonio.
Man, dude, it's funny.
The claw.
We went to, there's like a little arcade here called Diversion's Game Room.
Is it for divergent people?
Yeah, for neurodivergent people.
Okay.
And went there one time, dude, my daughter got obsessed with this, like, it's essentially like a claw machine where you just like keep paying until you win. Yeah. And I was like, you're never going to win this kid. Like,
dude, take
ever.
her there.
Yeah, that sounds pretty awesome. Yeah, because I feel like that's rewarding. And it makes you want to play more.
And you like anime, right?
I do.
They had anime characters.
In the claw machines?
In some of the claw machines.
Ooh. Did your kids win some?
No. They won the stuffed animal one.
Oh, whack.
But the anime ones, they played a little too late. We were
okay.
running out of credits.
Do you call every anime character Goku? You're just like, that's Goku.
No.
You don't know anything, bro.
I was like, that's Pikachu.
Yeah. Everything is Pikachu or Goku. That's it.
Is that Kirby? That's not anime, is it? No.
Like, Dad, shut the fuck up.
Oh, dude.
You don't know anything.
Oh, dude. I told you about the funny moment with my daughter
Earlier? Yeah.
Right? And just to talk about it on the podcast. So my daughter wore this dress, cheetah print, everything, to the last day of school. And
she's dressing up, man. She's
dressing up nice, and she was matching another girl at the
Oh, cool.
right? And I was like, hey, when you got on the bus, did all the boys start going, ooh, 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 acting like animals? And then she's like, Dad, you're embarrassing.
I don't think I'm at that point yet where like I'm embarrassing to my daughter, but I know it's going to happen.
It's
soon.
coming.
Yeah, I know.
It's coming.
I'm like, I feel like the cusp is happening.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
If I was dating you, I don't know why Camille's not embarrassed.
Yeah. It's funny. The other day, we were like talking, and I asked her, I was like, is it weird having me as a dad? Like, what is it like? And she was like, oh, it's just, you're too much sometimes. And I was like, what do you think about your nephew, my brother's kid? I was like, what do you think his life is like? And she was like, both of y'all are just like a lot. Like me and my brother. And I was just cracking up, and I was like, dude, you got a cool dad, right?
Yeah, you got a cool.
Yeah, I was like, I'm funny. I'm cool.
I have a podcast,
I'm
bro.
young. I know. I'm a YouTuber, bro.
Yeah.
Don't you worship those people?
I'm an influencer. Is like that what you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah. I'm doing that. Call me a loser.
Oh, shit, dude. But, dude, that place was real fun. We went to Half Price Books. Had a bunch of fun. My daughter had friends over yesterday.
Oh, cool.
So it's the beginning of summer.
Yeah, man, it's here.
Nice and hot in Texas.
Summer proper. Yeah.
But I want to talk about my experience with semiglutide. So I'm coming more and more conclusion. If you're not a person who's very into fitness and health, the only way you should take this is if you have a coach. Because I can see exactly what's going to happen to a majority of people. They're going to lose weight, get off of it, gain a bunch of weight back, or have to be on it forever.
Yeah, because they don't really make maybe changes, right? Like
habitual changes,
right? Behavioral changes, things like that. It's interesting that there isn't a coach for this. You know what I mean? Like, why? I feel like
Even
someone should be monitoring you.
Or I don't know why we don't talk about more of the other side effects, because I'm reading about stuff. Like my consumption of caffeine, I literally would drink that big cup over there, right? Like it's about 30 ounces or so.
Of coffee, right?
Yeah, right, of coffee.
God damn.
Yeah, in the morning. But dude, I'll go and I'll drink a quarter of my cup and I'll just throw away the rest.
You're fine.
I've even skipped a couple of days of caffeine.
Why? Like, what's the reason?
So I've read like people just get these habits that they had and they just like literally don't care about doing them.
That's so weird.
Like I don't really watch porn anymore. My libido's down. It's just insane. It
just like sort of like mellows you out.
Dude, I'm like super mellow. I've heard people who've had alcohol and they're not addicted to alcohol.
It's so weird. So I wonder what that means then. Like, why then, without the medication,
they don't know,
do we feel this need? Yeah.
And there, obviously, the GLP-1 hormone affects more than what we think.
Yeah, we don't even know yet.
And then we read about that hormone yesterday, NSF or NLP1.
Oh yeah, about the
like
metabolic.
the lipid. Mm-hmm. And so I mean, we don't know anything. Like, I think it's funny when people are like, "This is what it is," and we talked about absolutes earlier. We're like, we don't even know. Like, these people are taking Ozempic and they're losing a bunch of weight, but they're not even thinking about the long-term effects of loss of muscle, loss of bone, tissue, and we're just worried about weight loss. Like, I know it's a big deal for cardiovascular disease and other disease, cancer, being in a healthy range, but I really think that we need to be smart about this. I'm not against it. I think it's a great tool because I'm using it right now, and I think I've just been feeling crappy this last month, so I really haven't been like hitting the protein targets and all that because the smoke and the air quality here has been really poor. I've been in a fuzz kind of like brain, and now that I'm clear this week, I'm already eating better, making better decisions because the rain kind of cleared out the air.
Yeah, it rained a fuck ton.
Yeah, so I think it's a good tool, but you got to be careful who you are.
You're so in tune with your environment, bro.
I am one with the earth. Yeah. Namaste.
Do you feel like taking the injection gives you more 5G? Do you feel more 5G?
Bro, I'm on 6G.
Whoa. Yeah, that's why you're so in tune with everything, because
maybe even wires, bro. Maybe even 7G. I don't know.
Damn.
8G. I don't know.
We don't know what's in it.
Ooh, we got it.
Downloading.
Downloading awesomeness. I'm embarrassing my daughter right now. All right, you sent me this one, dude. This family moved to Idaho and back to California.
God. Yeah, so I guess there's this, which I haven't heard of. It's like a movement of a lot of like conservative people moving to Idaho.
Yes,
as like
or conservative states.
Yeah, like a stronghold of conservatism, right? And so this family moved. They were not white.
Yeah.
And so they moved there.
They're Hispanic.
Yeah. And they were there for a little while. I don't really know how long they said in terms of like time, but they moved back.
It was like 2 years.
Yeah. They moved back.
See, this
pretty
is why
recently.
I read
after.
and he doesn't read.
I just read headlines and I go, "Oh, that's so true."
It's so true. Just like the Instagram people.
Dude, you gotta have both sides, bro. They gotta have you and they gotta have me. You know? They gotta relate to one of us. You know? So,
the guy who actually reads shit, the guy who doesn't read.
Yeah. And so they moved back, and they said that it was because they just didn't realize how like unaccepted they were gonna be in terms of race, right? And it's interesting because, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say everybody who's conservative is racist, you know.
Yeah, so I think this is the point. I think the idea of conservative and ideals and values, you got to understand there's good ideals and values on both sides, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that people implement these ideas the same or they think of themselves differently within the ideals. And that's what makes it really complex, right? So let's say I'm very free market and I'm conservative, but I might have a liberal view, which a lot of these people do. They don't realize it. And a concept of social justice and treating each other like equals and things like that, right? And that's probably what like, oh, you know, California is really good at because they're very diverse.
Right.
And accepting of different cultures.
I think another thing too is like, I mean, we're never going to know the full story. Right. And so it's like, was it just one family in the neighborhood they just couldn't deal with? Was it everybody? You know,
I doubt it was everybody.
It couldn't be.
I lived in the country.
Yeah.
It's probably one or two families who made it miserable, who may have been in power, right? Like,
yeah, which is, you know, understandable. But I don't know. It kind of struck me as like, is this like some liberal headline that they're just trying to be like, oh, conservatives are racist people? And, you know, I don't know. It's because of woke, you know.
You're so woke. Yeah. I did wake up this morning.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty woke.
Like, woke nation. Under God.
Dude, that's the new liberal pledge. That's what's going to happen.
Shut up, dude.
Joe Biden's elected again. I know it.
And it's going to be like this.
Yeah. Everybody's going to have a blue hair streak. Woke nation.
Indivisible.
Under TikTok.
Under TikTok. Oh, my God.
I know it. I know that's what they want.
So I know you're about this phrase. Funflation is causing issues.
I thought this was super interesting. I've never really thought about it, you know, in terms of, I guess, like economics. But so if you go to any sort of entertainment type thing, you got to know that that shit's expensive now. Going to a concert is fucking $200 for like some shitty ass seat. You know, if you want to sit anywhere near the front for anyone big, it's $800.
I'm going to give you a good example.
Go ahead.
One of my clients told me they went to Shakira pre-COVID.
Okay.
To sit on the floor. Let's just say 2018, 2019. It was $300.
What?
He looked the next, like she's coming back here.
Okay.
$1,400.
Dude, that's
just fucking greed.
Insane. Yeah. And
I really think a lot, inflation is real. But
yes.
I think a lot of stuff that we've had recently is not real. It's colluding, which we've learned oil companies are colluding.
Yep.
And that's what we're learning. We're learning that grocery stores are just upping their prices. All of a sudden they drop this low. All of a sudden, come on, man. Yeah. All this stuff, some of it's fake and greed, and then some of it is real.
Right. Yeah. Some of it's manufactured, right?
Just like I think we talked. I don't know if we talked about me and you about like the tariffs that are on China's cars, and they're really good.
Yeah,
but it's 100% tariff, so they can never sell it here.
Of course,
and it's too much competition for Chevy and all them, so they don't want them. That's why the tariffs there.
Being lobbied.
They don't want really competition. They don't really want free market.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they want.
Fuck you, Chevy.
And
give me a brand new car.
Chevy sponsor us. We'll stop talking shit. Yeah, and so what they're saying is that these super high prices are now just like boxing people out of shit. Like for real. I mean, there's been concerts that I wanted to go to, and I'm like, I don't have $800 to go sit in like a mid-ass seat and like barely enjoy the concert, you know? And if I want to even be on the floor, it's $2,000. And it's like, so people are just saying, I don't want to do it. And nobody's going to these concerts. And artists are canceling whole tours because of low ticket sales. I know a band who's older, but they're relatively popular. They have a really good following. They were going to do a whole tour here in America and then also overseas. They canceled the entire overseas tour because they didn't get enough sales and tickets. So they literally didn't have enough money to fucking fly everybody over there and make it a profitable, you know, business expense.
The problem is it is profitable, right? The problem is it's not making as much profit as they thought it was going to make.
Right. So then they're like, we're not.
But they're also being greedy, and that's why they didn't sell as many tickets. If they would have probably just dropped the prices, like just by $100, whatever, they might have sold the tickets.
We've seen this in real time, right? In other events and things like that, where it's like, why are we raising prices when we should leave it at an accessible range, right? To where more people can access it instead of having like this smaller amount. But I think that they see, we can sell them for $1,400 and people are still going to come, you know, until it gets too much, and then you start like regressing back. And it's the same thing, like you said, it's sort of manufactured, especially in this, because I'm like, is it really any more expensive, you know, to like do a concert now than it was back then? Like, I just don't really see that much change, you know, in terms of that. And so it's like, why is the seat $1,400 as opposed to $300 just 2 years ago?
I think people were to see the real fallout. This it's coming.
And it's coming because people literally can't fucking keep up with it anymore, you know? And like just recently, I don't think I told you this, bro. I went to go see Justin Timberlake. Did I tell you?
No.
Yeah, dude.
I didn't know you were a JT fan.
Dude, it was fucking crazy.
Did you say Crimea River?
Yeah, dude. It was badass. It might have been one of the most fun shows I've ever been to. Like in every show I've ever been to. In terms of just like good feelings and fun and stuff like that, it was badass. He played a song from Trolls. It was badass, bro.
Dude.
Yeah, and but I was given the tickets.
Oh.
Someone had some friends fall out.
Was it in Austin?
No, it's here in Santiago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so, you know, me and Camille were like, fuck, dude, like, we got to wake up tomorrow. But, like, also, I literally, you know, this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance. Like, if these tickets
how much were these tickets?
I don't even know, bro.
But you should have looked it up.
I bet. I can only imagine that together for the seats that we had and stuff, over $500. And I was like, nope, we're going to go for free.
You
fuck
know some rich people, bro.
Dude, I got some great clients, man. You guys are awesome as fuck. Yeah. So we went. But it was one of those things where I was like, kind of like the monetary value of this, I feel like we need to kind of go because it's super expensive. Again, I'm not even like the biggest JT fan, but I was like, I'm not going to say no.
He puts on a show.
Dude, it was fucking awesome. It was badass, dude. I was
and
like,
then you on the stage.
JT me. Bring me on stage, bro.
I love you, bro. I'll suck your dick right now.
I'm bringing sexy back, bro. Bring me up.
You pretend I'm a girl with my long
I
hair.
had a little troll hair.
Dude. Oh, dude.
Yeah, it was badass, man.
So I don't know if you sent it or I sent it to you, but there was one about coffee and having different responses. I think you sent it. And it was from the glucose goddess and how two people had two different responses to caffeine. One had a sharp insulin spike and someone didn't have a sharp insulin spike.
Right. It was, they had like this little hand-drawn sort of line graph thing going on. And I think they were talking about, it was like her at, I think like her husband or something like that. I don't know. And talking about how drinking caffeine fasted. That's what it was about. And training, et cetera, things like that. And how, you know, some people might feel good on it. Some people might not. I think it was a good conversation about like nuance, you know, and how different people have different responses. And it kind of made me think about myself. I kind of told
nuance.
you real quick.
I wonder where we open the show on.
And I kind of like briefly mentioned it to you. I was like, you know, I pretty much train fasted only. I do have caffeine during the day before my workouts. And then I work out, and then afterwards I'll continue eating, et cetera, stuff like that. Now, that's just how I feel, right? I've just been doing it for a long time. It's just kind of almost even a habit now. I just feel better doing it that way. And I kind of said it, I was like, I wonder if now I feel like this because it's a habit or because if there's something else underneath, right? And so it's just one of those things where, you know, a lot of people might say, oh, you know, do your fasted cardio or only train fasted because you're going to feel better that way, or don't have caffeine until you eat or 90 minutes after you wake up and blah, blah, blah. And there's all this shit and everybody's speaking in absolutes, you know.
Fucking assholes.
Yeah, really. Because then we have friends, right, who are like, I don't fucking know what to believe. I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do anymore.
I get clients coming in like, what do I do?
Sometimes even I am, you know, and I'm just like, well, I just saw this research from this guy that said this thing, but this guy's saying something else.
Well, if y'all want to know everything, I know everything.
Yeah. He's the only guy in the world.
I read. Nathaniel doesn't. I'm not giving you the TikTok headline.
Bro, that's all people want, dude. It's just the TikTok headline.
Yeah, dude. I think this goes back into like, look, avocado can give me a response, but not give you a response.
Yeah.
And that's a fact for continued glucose monitor, right? You think glucose, insulin spike, but there's more complexity into the body than that. And people who've done CGM know that different foods give you different responses.
Right.
I was listening to one podcast. And one of the guys was like, I had a let's just say Five Guys burger. No response.
God.
But then I had...
Did you go into credit card debt for that? Fucking $45
for a burger.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I had a burrito. The burrito just spiked it up.
Wow.
Or whatever, like a taco.
Yeah.
That was homemade.
Wow.
And it's almost like his body took the Five Guys burger better than the homemade meal.
Yeah.
And it just shows you how complex, and just learning how to listen to your body, getting a good coach who kind of talks to you, listens to you. gives you good feedback and gets you to try different things. And sometimes, like, I've realized corn was it for me. I know I get a response with avocado.
Oh, wow.
So, like, there's little things too. But also, you can't let that. And the reason I say get a coach, there's also research that'll show they've done where people didn't have gluten intolerance or did have gluten intolerance. Or they said they did, right? The people. And so they had these people eat this food. They said there was no gluten. It was made with no gluten in this room. No hives, nothing happening. And then they brought them back, and then they eat the food, and they're like, oh, there's gluten in this house and everything. There's still no gluten. It was still a gluten-free environment. Broke out in hives.
You're kidding.
So it shows you how placebo effect it is.
It's like a psychosomatic, right? Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
That's super weird, man.
So that's why it's good to get a coach to get you outside of your own brain.
Yeah, yeah.
Crazy, dude, right?
Do you like training fasted?
Fuck no.
You always eat before.
No, I train mostly fasted because that's the time I have.
But
if I could, I prefer like 11 o'clock after a meal at 9 a.m. and I'm ready to go.
Interesting.
I like one meal in me.
I will throw up.
Sad. You know, I was on a walk this weekend too. And there's like words of wisdom. And I texted you after it.
You did send me this, yeah.
Dude, I did not realize how much wisdom was in Ludacris' song, What Them Girls Like, with Chris Brown.
Can you give me some bars?
I can't give you bars. I should have brought up the lyrics and be like,
I'll start
but let's just say, like, part of it, he talks about like how women like danger and women like this, but other women like a sense of security and safety in the song.
Do some women like getting beat up? Like Chris Brown?
I didn't go there. I didn't want to get us canceled. But if you want, dang, domestic violence is not cool.
It's a little funny though. Just kidding.
That's bro funny. That's behind the podcast.
Yeah. What else did he say?
But at the end, he's like, if you can't take the heat, and just set. I think he says, like, just shut up and listen if you can't take the heat in the kitchen. In other words, he's just saying women just want to be heard.
Yeah.
Just listen.
Yeah. And I think that's an interesting thing to say, too, because it's like, like you said, in the heat, right? If you're in the heat of an argument or something, and maybe the point isn't being made or you're going back and forth about something, maybe you need to shut up. Maybe you're not listening to what's actually being said or what your response needs to be. You know, that's funny. That's funny that there's like a moral in that song.
Oh, and in the song, he literally talks about, like, he says women are kryptonite. And if you think about it, throughout history of men, women have been the kryptonite. They've always like fallen in love, or like an empire goes down.
Yeah.
It has been because mostly of a woman.
It's funny because we were just kind of talking about that a little bit earlier too, right? And just in terms of like, I think like, so for example, I'll give a real life example. The other day I was, my daughter had summer camp. I was kind of like running around all over the place, not really sleeping super good, having to wake up really early to make up time for clients and then run back home. And I was fucking tired. I was really, really tired. And I texted Camille and I was just like, dude, I'm fucked up. Like, I'm super sleepy, really tired. Like, this day is just going to kind of suck. And she texted me back and she was like, I know that if anybody can handle like a tired day, you can. And I was like, damn. Warrior. Dude, literally, I was like, I got the rest of this day. Fuck it. And it like has the power truly to like change your whole perspective of your day, And it's funny how even just a text, a few words, things like that could change it. And on the other hand, I've had situations where, talking to girls and being like, oh, I'm really struggling with money right now, or I'm stressed out about it or whatever. And I've had people be like, stop complaining, like just fucking like
man up.
Yeah. And that shit does the exact opposite. Like I was like, wow. Like I was looking for,
hey, you'll figure it out. We'll do it together.
Support here, or even just a simple thing like that. Like, oh, I know it's hard, but I know you'll figure it out. Dude, that would have been enough to make me be like, oh, okay. Like I'm relaxed. And it's just crazy how like it has that dynamic on a man specifically, You know
where Camille fucked up?
What?
She should have drove to your place and gave you a fucking blowjob, and that would have like put you over the top.
No words, just get back in the car, drive away.
Oh, perfect scenario, dude. Perfect scenario.
Like, whoa.
You'd be like, all right, I can handle
I
today
don't
now.
even need to sleep at all.
Shit. Who needs a Red Bull now?
Yeah, but it's just funny, like you said, like I don't know, there's differences, between people and what they want and listening and stuff.
Yeah, so it's just really, really cool, like to like actually listen to the lyrics of the song and think about like, man, I wonder how many songs, and maybe think how many songs are out there that have really good wisdom for young men in the sense of, but it's put in a way where it's like playful.
Yeah.
And like you're just thinking about the words, they sound really cool and everything like that.
But I think it's accessible, right? Because then you listen to it, and then like one day you're like, oh shit. Like this song is actually saying something.
It made me think about like when I was chasing women at the beginning and stuff like that. And like,
we call that a hoe phase. When you were in your hoe phase.
Bro, am I wearing cheetah print right now? I'm no longer in that phase. Oh my God. No, but it made me really think about that. Young, youthful Edwin, and like my kryptonite was women. And we've talked about like our weaknesses off air. And stuff like that. All right. Last one before the studies is Dr. N. Nadolsky. He had a meme where they pressed two of them, and pretty much he was saying, why can't they use medicine and why can't they change their food environment? Yeah. And I really agree with this approach.
I saw something that also ties into this where I had sent it to you too, where it was like a little photographic or whatever. And it was like a doctor who was like, you need to listen to me because I have, a PhD and 12 years of schooling, and I know more about your disease than you do, right? And then on the other hand, it's someone like, well, I've lived 20 years with this.
Yeah, I remember this one. Yeah.
And it's, this conversation back and forth of who's right or what's anecdotal or what does the science say versus like what people really experience. And it's like, why can't we just take both of those things and find a solution? It kind of brings us back again to like absolutes, right, versus nuance, where why can't we listen to all aspects of it, take it all in as truth, right? Like, hey, this person's experience is their experience. This is what they've gone through. This is what they've dealt with. They have lived with this disease, right? Maybe it isn't exactly what your textbooks say or whatever, but like if you're just going to block them off and be like, everything you're saying is a lie. This is what's actually happening. I'm going to give you this prescription and not listen to them. That's why people don't take their medications or don't get better or find different options or worse, like try and find shit out for themselves and then fuck it out more, just because no one listened.
Yeah. Dang, he nailed it. Study number 1, vigorous exercise may preserve cognition in high-risk patients with hypertension. So they're talking about Alzheimer's and having high blood pressure and other diseases. Vigorous exercise can help preserve the brain. Right? What did you think about it?
When I read
did you actually read it?
I did read it.
Oh, man. You followed through.
I would. I said.
Promise I would.
So, yeah, reading it's funny because I read that headline and I was like, cognition, high blood pressure. I was like, what the fuck? Did they get this wrong? But then reading about it, it is proven that people who have high blood pressure have a higher risk of things like dementia, Alzheimer's, stuff like that, which I also found out that dementia is like an overarching term for lots of memory impairment stuff. The main one being Alzheimer's. So when people say dementia, Alzheimer's, they're not the same thing. It's sort of like saying metabolic conditions and diabetes.
Yes.
Yeah. And so just to clear up, because that used to confuse me a lot. But anyway, so it was interesting because they were saying that we've known this, we've known it, right? But I think that what they were testing here was like how much. And they were saying that I think that people who engage in like 2 times a week of exercise or something like that had like a 60% less chance of getting some sort of dementia later on in life if they did, vigorous exercise 30 minutes twice a week, something like that. I think it makes sense, right? That it's going to improve those markers, especially because we just know that it sort of does with everything. It reminded me of when I went to go look at that, the Body World Expo, and how everything was like exercise, eat better, and it's going to help you.
Don't you think we're so focused on these studies so much that we should just be teaching the habit of exercise, eating well, and sleeping well
Yeah.
and having a social life. And a lot of these human diseases that we have created that are very high will be a lot less if we just worked on the psychological side and the habitual side of things and teaching people how to do these things versus trying to be so right, so absolute, so nuanced about like, if you have this food versus this food, instead of like, let's make it simple, let's make it habitual, let's make your eating better. And we could literally create a better society that way of stronger people because we are actually teaching them.
I saw something too, and it was one of the people that I follow, and they were talking about losing weight and talking about it in terms of behavior instead of counting calories or something like that. And they were like, the moment that a lot of my clients started to lose weight is when they started to focus sort of on mental fortitude as opposed to losing weight, right? Saying no more often, or trying to practice a little bit more willpower, or setting themselves up better, things like that. We're taking away from focusing on, I guess you could say, the end goal and more about the things that would get you to that goal, right? And so like you're saying here, I think we need to focus more on those types of nuance and being like, okay, well, maybe it's not that this person can't count calories. We can all do that, right? There has to be something else going on. Maybe we should focus more on their behavior, their habits, all of these other aspects. And sometimes that's what's needed to actually reach those end goals.
All right. So second study, secure access to food and water is decreasing in the U.S. children. The problem is more severe for children who are Black or Hispanic, according to new research, right? I believe it was like 3.5 more times likely than white children and 7.1 more times likely than white Hispanics were 7.1 times more likely than white children.
Damn.
The problem I have with this research is it's not really a white, Black, or Hispanic thing. It's more of socioeconomic. And the fact that it went from 3% in the United States to 10% is a big issue to me, more socioeconomic wise than the access of water just not being there. Because when you talk about Maslow hierarchy of needs, if you're not taking over basic necessities, how are they supposed to think over a higher level? How are they supposed to get out of this system we're creating? So
because at the moment they're just trying to survive.
We're actually going backwards in the United States when it comes to basic needs and necessities.
Which I found concerning because usually you associate these things with like countries that are really struggling.
Third world countries.
Yeah, you know, places that you're like, oh, that'll never happen here. But it's kind of happening here, you know. And
yeah, I mean, we're the worst. People under 40 are not as well as their generations above them.
Yeah.
This is the first generation growing up in a worse situation.
I was, you know, on this note or on that note, we were talking to a homeowner the other day, and they're older. They're in their like 70s, I believe. And he was just kind of going on about the fact that he was like, I still can't believe sometimes the prices of things nowadays. He was like, I remember I used to go get gas for 19 cents a gallon. And I used to be able to buy all my groceries and stuff like that. And he was like, the cost of homes now is just insane. You know, he's like, I'll wake up and I'll look at stuff and I'm like, how did this happen? Like, it seems to him, you know, just yesterday that things were not like this anymore. And it's, you know, hearing it from someone like that. And like you're saying, we're sort of going backwards in this way, and everybody kind of waking up to the fact of that is concerning. And I think one of the things that I found interesting in this one was that they kind of measured it by how much families use tap water. And I was like, that's an interesting sort of metric to go by, you know, because it does tell a lot. It tells a lot, like you said, about your socioeconomic status, your location, right? The water system around there. I think you have a good point of bringing up the hierarchy of needs, where if I'm just trying to survive every day and find clean water to drink, how the hell am I supposed to think about going to school or starting a career or getting out of here? You know what I mean? It's like I'm fucked.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I think about the decisions I make today. And this is where I think a lot of people who I listen to a financial podcast and they're like, well, you need to make this much money. You need to put money away. When you're fighting every day and you're not purposely putting yourself in that situation, and it's hard to get out and think beyond your moment. It makes it really hard to be like, I'm going to financially save this much money. I'm going to financially do this when you don't have the capability to do it.
Right. There needs to be, I think, different conversations. Because, yeah, there are a lot of those.
It's very
podcasts.
nuanced. Right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, where it's like, okay, that might work for 30% of the population, maybe a little bit more, maybe less. But what about everybody, like you said, who's like fighting literally every day? Like, can we get some financial advice for those people? Exactly. Because those are the people that really need it. And maybe the fact that there isn't any financial advice for those people is concerning, because it's like maybe there isn't any financial advice for those people,
or not just financial advice. How do I get out of this situation? How do I like? There's not very much. It's because there's no money in helping this group of people. That's the issue, right? There's money in helping someone creating wealth who already has a little bit to give into wealth, right?
Yeah.
This is where I was listening about taxes and stuff. Like, wealthy people actually do pay taxes and stuff. It's the super wealthy, the people who can write off like the Jeff Bezos, the super earners, right?
Yeah.
It's not people like that we probably train. They probably pay a shitload of taxes.
Oh, yeah.
And what they got is a poor versus rich, right? Versus it's the super earner that's the issue. But also, they should give these people who are in a wealthier position some like philanthropy kind of feel. If they pay more into taxes, hey, where do you want your money to go? Do you want it to go for a pre-K school for San Antonio?
So there's a lot of stuff,
things like that.
So one of my clients is a CPA, and he is like looking for new positions and things like that. And one of them is like a nonprofit. I was like, how does that work? Like, I don't really know anything. Like, how do companies like that actually function? Because I don't understand if they're not making any money.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, what they do is, number one, they get a lot of donations from people, and they do that. Like, if me and you, let's say Strength Solutions, were like, hey, we're going to donate to this, charity company, then they tell us, okay, where do you want your money to go?
But I think if they're going to get your taxes, they should do the same thing.
Yeah, I think they should, right? And be like,
and I'm not talking about like at our level. Our level, we're not paying enough to be like,
not us.
But like, if someone who's like really paying, they're making $1 million, they're paying 500,000 into the. Where do you want your 500,000 to go to? Yeah. Do you want it to go like through programs throughout San Antonio, and they're more willing to pay their taxes correctly instead of hiding shit.
Yeah, because they're like, well, how much money can I give away to them?
But we would have to figure out like how to do the whole.
Yeah,
whole thing.
I think that's a super good solution though, depending that people have like a good heart.
I think most people do. Most wealthy people I have met are really good people. You get those occasional assholes.
No,
but
yeah, you're actually right. I feel like most of like my clientele.
We're in a luxury service. Like a lot of them make pretty decent amount of money,
and they're probably like the nicest people I've ever met.
Yeah, and they want to help people. They want to do things that are right for people.
I had a client the other day that was like, if you ever need anything, just let me know. And I was like, that's really nice, man. Thank you. And he was like, I just mean anything. Like,
actually, I need a prostitute right now.
He was like, whether it's like personal or in his job field or whatever, he was just like, I would like to help. And I was just like, damn, like that's really
and
cool.
it's because they come from a place, it makes them feel good, right? And that's where I think like if they could choose where their money goes, it'll make them feel good that they know they're actually helping a cause. Where they don't want to pay taxes right now is because a lot of the money's wasted.
Yeah.
Look at the bridge in California, or not the bridge, the railway. It was like 600 meters, but like $15 billion. Damn. The homelessness in California. There's stuff that we've done in Texas, but these are like very like well known throughout the United States. Before we go into the fitness questions, if you like what we're doing, please check us out on Apple and Spotify. You can rate and review us. Then we're on YouTube. Please subscribe and spank that like button.
There you go.
Then if you have a website, it's strengthsolutionspodcast.com. Email strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com. Social media, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, Strength Solutions Podcast. On Instagram, I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
All right, for first podcast question, guess what, guys? Hey, do y'all have a good diet to lose the midsection weight? Because that's my struggle right now. Everything else looks good.
This is from someone I know. I'm going to tell him to listen to this podcast. I think it'll be a good one. And they asked me this question. I know them. They're super fit. They have been my whole life that I've known them. Like they were someone that I like aspired to. Like I was like, damn, if they can do it, so can I. And so it's funny to kind of be on the opposite end now where I'm like sort of giving the fitness advice. But yeah. I know that they're at a super lean body fat percentage. I can guess that they're probably like 10%. And, we're talking about that bottom half of the abdomen that a lot of people are always like, oh, I want to lose my pooch, right? And I was like, look, this is what I say to a lot of people, especially when talking about visceral fat around the midsection, right? Is that you're fighting against biology, right? Your body does not want to lose fat in that area because that's where all your vital organs are. That's where if you were to get damaged anywhere around there, you're dead. And so,
honestly, it was protective. Like you see gladiators are a little heavier.
Yeah.
So if they got stabbed or sliced, it wouldn't hit those vital organs. Yeah. It would slice the fat instead. That's why we have the gut build up there too.
It's insulation, it's protection, it's all of these things, right? My brother tells my nephew, this is where my power is. And I was like, you got to understand that trying to lose or trying to get so lean at that point is really a toss up. It's like, is that really a goal?
Do they want to lose the ability to have some strength? Maybe they're not really good, very lean. Some people are naturally, they can get super lean and keep strength, but are you that person? Are you willing to give away some of your strength?
Yeah.
Are you willing to give away social events? Are you willing to give away time away from people you love?
Yeah, I know them too. I know a lot of their life is like they really like playing sports, things like that. So maybe they aren't really that interested in that. And it's funny because I told them, I was like, look, the only real option is continue to cut. There's no special diet.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to say, oh, the Mediterranean diet helps you lose a lot of midsection.
Why are you lying to them? Because it is that way.
Yeah, you got to eat more olives. Yeah. And
whoa.
Sorry, whoa. And
we'll edit that later.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it again. Jesus Christ. And so telling them that your really only option is, I guess, cut more calories if you really want to. But I told them too, I gave them some other advice that I was like, maybe this will actually help you. I was like, how much water do you drink? Are you looking at yourself when you're really, really hydrated? Because you're gonna look like you have more fat there. If you wake up in the morning and check it out and you like that, okay, then there you go. You know, like you maybe need to change that. There's other ways to kind of lose that area, you know, just if you're looking for like that aesthetic goal. But really, if you're looking to end up just getting super, super shredded, then I mean, you just have to continue to keep losing weight. But I think at the end of the day, you're always going to have some sort of fat around that area, unless you're like fucking 4% body fat, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I have had a six pack. And I would say you give up a lot.
Yeah. And like you said too, where you're like, I would have a six pack for a few hours of the day and then it was gone.
Yeah. Because I had some water and some salt.
And there it's disappeared. Gone. Goodbye.
All right. Question number 2. What are the best ways to build a better body long term? If you start out today, is it better to start with building muscle or losing weight?
Ooh, good question.
So if it's a newbie gain person, I'm like, you could do both.
Yeah.
Right.
Fair.
Let's be honest. That's part of the nuance. For most people, I would say learn how to just exercise and build muscle. But if you're starting at a very high weight, psychologically, it's going to be better. Like I'm saying 300 pounds to try to lose weight.
Yeah.
Just from a psychological standpoint. But I would say since it's a newbie gain, if you're starting out that high, you're able to build muscle too. That's the cool part early on.
Yeah, you got that magic to where you can do two of those things together. In general, I would say if you're maybe like a relatively lean person, maybe you're not in that over 300 bracket or whatever it is, then I would say starting with a bulk is probably best. So you start with all of that muscle mass and then you can cut from there. I think it's also, like you said, mentally it's a little bit easier because you're just like, oh, I just gotta eat better, more, put on some muscle, things like that. And then you go into that cut cycle later. I don't know. I'm sort of hesitant to start people with losing weight.
I'm very hesitant, but sometimes it's a necessity.
Sometimes it's a necessity, yeah. I actually just had a conversation with a client today who's been on a weight loss track. It's been difficult. They'll go up and down. Muscle mass will come up. Body fat percentage will go down. Then fluctuates over and over. And I was like, look, at this point, I just need you to drop weight. Like, let's just simplify it all. Get into a caloric deficit. Try and hit a protein goal, but all I care about right now is just seeing the scale drop because I think you need that too. And you're not maybe feeling that motivated, or you're kind of going back and forth because, well, it doesn't really matter. And so I was like, fuck it, lose weight.
That's where coaching comes in hand, right?
Yeah.
I've told a client, like, do you need to hit 1,300 calories right now? just to fucking psychologically help you.
Yeah, that's what I said too. I was like,
And then
look,
we'll get back to normal like in 2 or 3
Yeah.
weeks. And there's also research that shows that 2 to 4 weeks of a big deficit is not detrimental to an individual.
no.
Right. It's when it's prolonged is the issue.
Right. And that's what I told them too. I was like, I'm going to give you a pretty like vigorous goal here. I'm going to be a little aggressive. And I was like, I want you to lose 6 pounds in the next like 3 weeks. And I was like, you better come back with 6 pounds gone. Damn. Because otherwise I'm like, I don't know what's happening. If you can't do it, then something else is going on.
Yeah. Or they could be a person too. This is where psychology matters before we move on to the next one, is that they get that good result in the testing and then they relax.
Yeah.
And so therefore the testing is the issue.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, it happens, right? All right. Question number 3. Could you create a program that only targets just women, or does it even make sense or even exist? I know in the past you have said that it's all individual based, but do you think women would benefit from a women's only program?
That's
so
weird.
So I would say yes. And the way we would make a program for only women is it would target more the glutes, legs, things that women like. It has nothing to do with
your biology,
of being a woman.
Yeah.
And then another thing would be like, well, you would put like, are you postpartum? This is how the exercise routine would work. These are like little, or you're postmenopausal, are you in menopause? There would be like hormone things that you would do and things like that. That would be more women programmed than the actual workout itself. The only thing workout wise that would really be women is if we're targeting like the legs and the glutes a little bit more within the program.
Yeah, that's funny. I would ask this person, which I would assume is a woman, and be like, okay, well, tell me what a women's only program would have.
Hip thrust.
Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, so you just want like a glute hamstring program. Yeah. Like you're saying, there's no real, I've had clients ask me like, do you train men and women the same or do you do it different? And I'm like, well, I might change it based on what they need, but if you're doing squats, they're doing squats too. You know, you're doing bench press, they're also doing bench press.
Now, I will say if my guy's goals, chest and arms a little bit more, we're going to focus on those a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then if the woman's more hips and legs, of course, we're going to focus on the glutes and the hamstrings and quads a little bit more.
Yeah.
But that's the only difference. You're just changing where your volume's at.
At the end of the day, it changes just between goals as opposed to sex, right?
Yeah. Let's talk about sex, baby.
Let's talk about me and me. Is that JT?
Stupid. All right. Question number 4. I'm looking for a trainer currently. What are good traits to find in a trainer?
They have long hair.
I am not in San Antonio.
Not in San Antonio. Damn it.
So, one is a trainer who gives credit to others. I think that's a big part for me.
I think
I've helped people. And I always give credit to people I follow, or hey, me and Nathaniel were talking about this, and he brought up this point, and like making sure I give credit to other people because that shows that they're not scared to show you that they're learning and they're constantly evolving as a trainer.
I think mine would be willing to admit when they don't know something, and sort of refer out. I guess sort of in the same way that you're saying there, where it's like giving credit to others, right? Where it's like, you know what? I don't know what's going on. Go see a doctor.
Or new infos come out and we got to change my perspective.
Right. Yeah. Or I'll even have clients come to me with info and I'm just like, let's try it. You know, it sounds, I understand.
Willing to adapt, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Willing to adapt. I think that's another big one too, where we talked about this with like Roger on our podcast. And actually I bring him up because I heard him I overheard him talking today where it's like, oh, my client came in and, you know, they weren't really feeling too hot and they had some things. And so I just had to throw my program out and just do something else. And you got to be willing and able to do that.
Bro, that literally happened to me yesterday. I had a couple and the wife hurt themselves. So I had to adapt the whole workout and then I had to figure it out on the fly. Yeah.
Yeah. And you got to be able to do that. You know, if you're a trainer, you're just like, well, we're just going to do the same thing. You know, it's like, I don't really know. Like I had a friend of mine today reach out and was like, oh, you know, I have a trainer right now, but I sort of feel like they just sort of phone in my sessions all the time. Like it's just like bullshit. And they're like, do you do like virtual? Do you do any of that stuff? And I was like, ooh. And I was like, well, let me hear what you got to say. You know, like, let me see what's up and stuff like that. But I think it's one of those things where you got to be able to be there, right? Help them with whatever they currently need at that exact moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it goes back to the beginning of the podcast about not being absolute. You're nuanced. Someone who asks you a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
So I'll get, or like who's not scared to, who ask you a bunch of questions and like they figure out like multiple things. I think a lot of times trainers tell people what to do, but I like to ask a million questions to get to the real answer.
Yeah.
That's another thing a good trainer does. And then also not scared to push you when they need to push you because they're just not scared to lose you.
Yeah, and also not scared to pull back when needed to pull back because they're also not scared to lose you.
Yeah.
You know, I know a lot of trainers who will be like scared to do that because they're like, well, what if they don't get a good workout, or what if they don't like how intense it was or whatever? And I'm just like, that doesn't matter. You're the trainer. You know, you got to do what's best for them.
Yeah. All right, guys, if you like what we're doing, you can find us on Apple and Spotify. You can rate and review us. Also, we're on YouTube. Give that little spank to the like button and subscribe down below. Then, if you're looking for a website, it's strengthsolutionspodcast.com. Email strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com. Social media on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. It's Strength Solutions Podcast on Instagram. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Until next time, guys. What? Peace out. Deuces.